So I wanted to walk through my film scan conversion process. Currently I have all of my film developed at a local lab, and then I bring it home and scan it on this Veloy film holder with my Sony a7 IV and a Sigma 105 macro lens. I have developed my own film at home. It's honestly just a huge undertaking sometimes, either if you're in a busy season with work or you just have a ton of film you need developed. So now I send it off to a lab and then I bring the negatives home and scan them myself. It's easier to get consistent results. I'm averaging probably 20 to 30 megapixels for 35 and 120 film. And at a lab, you're usually getting around like 5 to 10 megapixels, which is just a huge difference, and you get so much more detail. You also have those giant Sony RAW files to mess around with in Lightroom and push and pull colors to get them how you want it. You're really getting the full potential out of the film and the full dynamic range. So I use Negative Lab Pro, which is a plugin for Lightroom specifically for converting negatives to positives. There are other programs out there. I use this one just because I already have Lightroom and I like the integration in it, and I've been getting great results from it. Here are a few scans that I pulled in here. 3 of them are 120 and one's 35 millimeter. So this is the Sony RAW file, and it's basically just a photo of the negative. And before you can convert it, you have to go in here and select the white balance on the border over here. And then you want to crop in to get rid of the border. And to get into the Negative Lab Pro panel, you push Control N and it brings this up. And we select digital camera. And then I usually just put it on none for the color model. Leave pre-saturation. The border buffer is to get rid of the border so it can properly balance the photo. And then you can preview it. Because if it's in there a little bit, it can mess up the conversion. And then you just push Convert Negatives. And it's super fast. You can also do the entire roll at once, but I just have one photo here, so that's what we'll do. After you convert it, it brings up this panel right here, and you can mess with all of the exposure levels and color and everything. So I usually bring contrast down a ton. I make it so my whites aren't clipping. Bring my blacks to where they're just clipping. Lab glow, I always put lab glow on, especially for 35 millimeter. I think it just kind of softens the highlights and makes the contrast a little less on the top ends there. So just put it to 10. And then white balance can be a little warmer. And then bring some magenta in. And bring the shadows down, contrast down. And you can really just mess around with this until you get the photo how you like it. So that looks good for now. But if you zoom in, you can really see all the detail there. And it's 5300 by 3500 pixels, which is huge for a 35 millimeter film scan. If you want to, you can bring the borders back, which is another cool thing about scanning it yourself. If you're into that, you can set it to 4x5. Sick. And then let's go to the next one. This is some Fuji 400, it looks like. So go in here, white balance, and you can crop it. I'll usually put in a custom 645 crop for this. Just because there's not one in Lightroom already. Looking good. And then convert it, Control N. You can leave all this the same. And super fast. Definitely had some weird stuff going on with this negative. Some dust and looks like it wasn't dried properly, but you can get rid of that pretty easily. I'm actually gonna go in here with the healing tool real quick and just get rid of some of this. good enough for now. All right, then go back into the panel and we can bring up some brightness. Bring down the contrast. Cool. That's good enough for now. And some detail check. You really get so much detail on the 120 scans. Cool. Let's go to the next photo. This is some black and white, which changes things a little bit. I'm just gonna white balance and then crop it. And get rid of this before, because I already know it's gonna look bad. All right. So for black and white, you can choose black and white under the color mode and convert it. Black and white is super easy because you don't have to mess with white balance or anything, and basically just change the brightness and exposure. See, that already looks great. I'm just gonna stop there. And look at that detail. So much sharpness. And then let's go do the last one here. This is some more Fuji 400. Oh, I think this is, I wanna say it's Kentmere 400. 120, obviously. So white balance. Sometimes you have to find a part on the border that's more consistent with what you think the white balance is, because up there it looked off a little bit. Crop it. And then bring up Negative Lab Pro, change this back to none, convert. All right, let's change this up a little bit. So the brightness slider, I don't usually touch the exposure slider a lot because it clips things, and it's usually pretty accurate. The brightness slider is what kind of levels out the image a little bit and retains the highlights and shadows. Warm it up a little bit. And it's looking good. Let's do a zoom in again on this one. Sweet. All right, so here are the finished photos. If anyone's interested in my actual scanning setup, let me know and I can go into more depth on that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope that was helpful. Peace.